Dirty Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy, Ruther, and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Good afternoon, Andy. Good evening to you, sir.
Thank you. A little late Monday sesh we got going here.
Late Monday. I had to break out a Miller Lite. We're both running on fumes today, so I needed some of that. I needed some of that goat juice.
Yeah. Little refuel energy.
Yeah.
Get you through. Power through the Monday.
That's right.
Monday, May 1st. May is here.
It's going to be May, as your boys would say.
Yeah. It is May.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. It's May.
Yeah. For yesterday.
Yeah. Who would have known that those things turn into memes and become things? And this takes one song, man.
Yeah. You got that. I mean, honestly, you go back to back. You got It's Going to Be May. Then a couple days later, May the 4th be with you.
I mean, seriously.
Cinco de Mayo.
Day.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
I mean, if the last day of April and the first week of May is real full of just absolutely made up holidays.
Well, my nephew's into Star Wars. He's getting into Star Wars now. He's 6. And
my nephew's into getting blackout on tequila, so it's a big week for nephews.
Yeah, big week for nephews. I'm realizing my level of Star Wars dorkdom. Like, I knew I was a dork, but like the fact that I can explain a lot of things that like the common person is not going to know.
Yeah. Now, wasn't there a famous Star Wars dork off between you and Tug's buddy and
Meb? He beat me.
Yeah.
I think he might have crushed me. Like, he's next level. But like my sister-in-law was asking me questions because he's asking a million questions. My nephew is, and she's like, "Who are the guys with red eyes?" And I'm like, and I sent her a picture. I'm like, "Are you talking about the Jawas from Tatooine?" She's like, "Yes, that's it."
Yeah.
Like that type of level. I was like, that's also where Jabba the Hutt's from and where Luke was born. Like I can the first 3 episodes I can hit you with a lot. Now the other ones, not so much. But
it's amazing how much, like, I'm not even like we've talked about this before. Like, I was into it as much as, like, you know, a guy my age would be, a little bit older than you, but like, you know, Return of the Jedi came out when I was like aware of things. And so you're like, oh, and you got the lunch boxes and you got whatever. And it's amazing how much, like, I'll go back and watch some stuff and be like, man, I know way too much about this shit. And I didn't even try to. Like, I'm not, like, I was like into it, but not like I would have never identified as like a Star Wars dork. But then, like, anytime I'm watching it with somebody who doesn't know anything, I'm like, oh yeah, well this, and they're related to this, and this is person. And they're like, how the fuck do you know? I'm like, you know what? I don't really know.
You just watch it enough.
Just watched it enough.
Well, I've been watching a lot of deleted scenes on YouTube lately. Like, that's been my nerd thing since my nephew got into it. Like, I'm obsessed with watching, oh, like they deleted this from this movie. And I'm kind of like curious about it. And it's always narrated by some big old Star Wars dork. And I was actually watching a video before we came on live here. And it is crazy to think that the I'm Your Father in Empire Strikes Back, spoiler alert, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
What?
Yeah. Like, think about 1980 to 83. They were showing videos. People didn't know, like, was he really his father? Like they're in New York City. It's clearly New York City. I could tell from the accents. And they're interviewing all these people just like sleeping outside waiting for Return of the Jedi. And they interview some like total thick New York accent woman asking, like, I don't know, is he? I'm waiting here. I'm dying to find out. Like, is he really? And you're just like, dude, She goes, I've been waiting 3 years. It's like some like sassy
It's
looking.
like it's like a Star Wars version of Jerry Springer. They're like Jawa, Jawa, Jawa.
She looked like some like sassy Puerto
The
Rican woman.
paternity test says he is not the father.
She's like, I've been waiting 3 years to find out what's happened. 3 years. And then she's like in the camera's face, 3 years.
And the camera guy's like, they told you what's happening.
Yeah. So I don't know, but like it's like that's one of those things. You actually gave me a big Star Wars nug. I don't know if you know that.
I remember, what was the nug?
When we were in the Bay Area one time, which would be what, Marin County?
Yeah.
It was you, right?
I don't know. What did I say?
Somebody was like, hey, we were like driving on the freeway and I think it was by like, the water. And somebody was like, oh, those, I don't even know what they are. They're not buildings, whatever they're called. That was George Lucas's inspiration for the snow walkers and Empire.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because that's where he's from and all the, yeah.
I think that was you. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, that's a cool, fun dork fact where you're like, hey, I'm learning some things here that I never would have known. And then you see it firsthand. Almost as cool as when we had David Zucker on saying, hey, when you drive in the 405 and they make the reference to two giant boobs on the side of the freeway, whatever those silos or whatever they are. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a lot going on in the sports world.
We sure do.
We are in the thick of NBA and NHL playoffs. And like we talked about it, the NBA's got to be licking their chops on these series, how they've evolved. A lot of big rivalries for the conference semifinals.
Yeah, just absolutely fantastic matchups. Obviously, Warriors closed it out as predicted by a lot of people, as predicted by us. I mean, I think it's exactly what we said was going to happen like down the stretch of a game 7. Like, by the way, props to the Kings for, a great series. Props to the Kings for taking it to 7 games. It was a close game into the third quarter. And then, of course, it just seemed like Steph specifically, but also just like the veteran play of the Warriors versus some pretty erratic play down the stretch of a game 7. Didn't, a young team, didn't really seem like they had that ability to like, calm themselves down, get back into rhythm, and the wheels just kind of came off. So the Warriors close it out. Now we have not just LeBron Warriors, which we've seen throughout, the last decade, but also he's now a Laker. So that's even bigger for the NBA. I'm sure everybody who's an NBA fan has been seeing throughout the week and throughout the weekend the variety of clips. Like I've now seen it replayed 40 times. All the Knicks Heat fights. Today started seeing them be like, have you had enough Knicks Heat fights? Don't forget that Boston and Philly used to punch each other in the face a lot. And then, of course, like we said, probably the least interesting from a historical standpoint, but still maybe in any other given year, the most interesting series, the 1 seed and soon to be 3-time MVP, Denver Nuggets hosting the Phoenix Suns, who are the 4 seed, but looking great since they got Kevin Durant. It's an absolutely fantastic conference semifinals that we have.
You're giving that MVP to Jokic.
I mean, I think it feels like people have already decided that, but obviously this is a year where the conversation is, I think, unsettled. But it feels to me, usually you can sense who people are leaning toward. The people that are screaming for Embiid seem to be a minority, but
who will not be playing tonight, for the record.
Correct.
So Joel Embiid is out with an injury. So
Joel Embiid sounds like a Star Wars name, by the way.
He does.
Yeah, Joel Embiid.
He does. I don't know if I'd want him as my guy, though. He injured too much. I'm just saying, like, Luke Skywalker got his arm chopped off and came back. I'm just saying, like, he came back strong. Like, Embiid is like... Embiid, although,
I mean, to be fair, Luke Skywalker also went full Michael Jordan, between series. He just went to an island. He was banished to an island by the commissioner for gambling.
True. It's a good point. But, like, my thing on Embiid, he's obviously a very good player, but you can't miss playoff games, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this happens every year. Like you can't miss regular season is one thing. Every game is so important. Like Jimmy Butler's going to play a game too. I guarantee he will.
I mean, Jimmy Butler didn't come out.
That's what I'm saying. Like Jimmy Butler's questionable as of right now. Jimmy Butler's going to play a game too.
Jimmy Butler's going to play.
It's just like you can't. I'm not going to sit here. 5'9" me is not going to sit here and call him a pussy. But you got to just play. I don't know. Like refresh my memory. Is Shaq missing playoff games?
No, but that's sort of that was sort of the basis for the Kobe Shaq issues. Where Shaq was like, why am I even gonna, like, all I have to be prepared for is the playoffs.
Yeah.
So forget, like, it wasn't even like load management. Shaq wasn't like, I'm going to take off back ends of the back-to-back. He's like, I'm just going to take off the first 30 games of the year. And then, who cares if we're the 6th seed or the 7th seed or the 4th seed or whatever. I'll be healthy come playoffs. I'll have less mileage on me for the season. And here we go.
Yeah.
Because they didn't need him to win games. But they also, and, if you're a Kobe stan out there, you're probably like, yeah, because they had Kobe. And it's like, but also they just had to finish 7th.
Sure. No
play-in tournament. They didn't care.
Well, this year's so interesting because the seeding really hasn't mattered, I'd argue.
Well, I put it out there yesterday, and then every other major, network jumped on board a day later. But the conference semifinals, there's one of every 8 seeds. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 seed in the conference semifinals. Got to be the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, well, the Lakers. What was the stat I saw? The Lakers have the best record since, maybe the trade.
Yeah.
So like that's almost a new team. The Warriors obviously a 6 seed, but they're defending champs. We see what the Heat are doing. Obviously, the Heat got it together late at the end of the year. They're an 8 seed. It's just like the seeding hasn't mattered as much. Like this Lakers Warriors, like to me, already feels like a conference finals.
Yeah,
obviously
but
it's not.
It feels like a conference finals, but also the winner is probably the underdog in the next series.
For sure, 100%. That was like I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Steph scoring 50, which is the most ever in a game 7, the most he's ever scored in a playoff. Was kind of, I feel like it's kind of been like, it's not getting too much attention. Yeah. I don't know if that's because he's been around for so long and he's been so good for so long.
I think that the other part of it was, he was certainly the guy who was doing the bulk of the scoring in the second half. But it seemed like, and this isn't to take anything away from Steph, because the part of Steph's career that's probably the most impressive is, for such a small guy, how often he can have huge scoring days like that, and it doesn't feel like anything. Like, it doesn't feel like he's like working really hard for it. Like, that was the coolest, calmest, chillest 50-point game 7 ever. But part of it was also, yes, he was doing it, but the Kings were sort of collapsing simultaneously. I think that 50-point game is getting way more attention if it's a 3-point win and Steph carries that team on their back. It just felt like the Kings were collapsing. Steph felt it. Steph was also feeling hot and was like, I'll keep putting the ball in the basket, and we'll keep not scoring, and we'll just pull away. It really felt like a dad playing with his son, and the moms are like, can you let him score a little bit? He's like, nah, this is dope. I'm canning threes in his face the whole day.
So I was reading an article in The Athletic about LeBron versus Steph and their history as far as the teams. I don't know if I'm right in this. I just don't think about that as such a rivalry.
Really?
Does that sound crazy? I think I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Like, they're just such different players. And maybe it's because I just feel like LeBron's now this year I think will be different. But in the past, when they play, it's like LeBron's got to do it all.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't know. You look at Magic.
LeBron might have to do it all a little bit this year as well. He might. The first round, I was saying this the other day, it felt like LeBron was sitting back a little bit and being like, listen, the goal is for us to win an NBA championship. And if I just put up 40 every night to get through Memphis, we're not winning the championship. Like, we just won't win if that's what it's going to take. It felt like he was like, listen, I got to get these guys going. Everybody's got to get their 15 and 19, because the only way we actually have a chance to win anything, the only way we beat a Warriors team, the only way we beat a Suns team is if we're playing great team basketball and I'm getting help from anybody, because I'm not 33-year-old LeBron James anymore. I'm 38-year-old LeBron James now. And so all you guys got to come along. I think as the playoffs go, we're going to see more and more of those moments where LeBron's like, fine, I'll do it myself. But I think it's smart. But when you look back at the LeBron versus the Warriors series, which is what it wasn't Cavs versus Warriors.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why, to me, I just don't think. Again, maybe I'm wrong.
He had the energy to do it for 4 straight rounds.
But he had to, and it's just like Steph had so much help. That's all I'm saying is I've always viewed it as LeBron versus the Warriors.
Sure.
Not
that's
LeBron
what everybody
versus Steph.
Yeah.
But you see everybody's like,
listen,
Magic and Larry, and the other ones, like, you really looked at the players, whether that's right or wrong.
They played 4 finals together, and Steph won 0 finals MVPs of those 4 finals.
Yeah.
You had Iguodala, LeBron, KD.
Sure.
Steph got his last year, obviously, but you can make the argument that Steph is the most important player on the Warriors. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think KD unfairly won those MVPs. I would say, again, Iguodala probably unfairly won that MVP over LeBron, but KD obviously hit the biggest shots, and led the team in scoring and whatever. And that's not everything. Steph may be the more important player on those teams still, but it wasn't LeBron versus Steph. If it was LeBron versus Steph, LeBron would have 3. Without KD, like, we can say, oh, this, that, and the other thing could have happened, but what are we talking about? LeBron beat the 73-win Warriors. They went and got KD. Like,
yeah,
it wasn't LeBron versus Steph. If it was LeBron versus Steph, they wouldn't have gotten KD.
I'm still leaning towards the Warriors in this.
Yeah, because LeBron's 38 now, and now it might be LeBron versus Steph, and LeBron's old.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to almost be a little bit more finally the Lakers versus the Warriors.
For sure.
Like people are talking about this as if it's LeBron versus Steph, and this is probably the first time that it's not going to be LeBron versus someone.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, the role players, they're so important for the Lakers.
Yeah.
And if those guys don't play well, or if Anthony Davis doesn't play well, they don't stand a chance.
Right.
I mean, I'm rooting for the Lakers. I just think the Warriors will be too much. I think things get so interesting if the Lakers survive this series.
I think we'll be able to tell pretty quickly in this series, I think, because as I said about how I think LeBron was, how LeBron handled that first round on purpose. It'll be interesting to see if LeBron comes out in game 1 and scores 40. I'm going to be like, win or lose. I'm going to be like, this could be one of those series.
But that's got to be Anthony Davis. I would argue. Like, who's going to guard him?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to throw a whole bunch of people at him, but
Draymond Green will get a quick tack, I think.
Yeah.
Right? He'll get it out of the way.
But my point about it is if LeBron comes out and isn't feeding Davis and isn't spreading the ball around, if in game 1, like that game 1 that was so famously blown by J.R. Smith, he goes, let's get up 1. Let's get up 1 in this series. I'm going to do it. That'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting thing. Now, LeBron is, like, as far as basketball knowledge goes, infinitely smarter than me. So he might not think that's his best chance to win. But if he comes out and does that, I'm going to be like, this series could be interesting.
Where are you at with the Knicks right now?
Well, a tale of two halves, really. Where I am with the Knicks is felt great about their first half yesterday, based mostly, and I said this, I did a halftime happy hour, as I'm calling it, and I'll continue to do more. There's some tech issues in terms of getting the link up right away, but shout out to the people who did watch it after the fact. If you subscribe to my Substack, and you can subscribe for free, I'm going to be continuing to do some halftime happy hours during Knicks games. But I said after the first half, I feel great because, as I've said throughout the last couple of years, and especially this year after they got Brunson, Knicks have a Julius Randle hero ball problem. And sometimes what could be a great team that shares the ball, that moves the ball, that gets into the paint, becomes a little bit too much of Julius Randle ball stopping. So yesterday, to start the game, no Julius Randle, complete opposite. RJ Barrett's their leading scorer in the first half. Brunson's getting downhill and getting into the lane. They're playing defense, and they're not hitting their threes in the first half, but they're still up 5 going into the half. Now, credit to Eric Spoelstra, in the halftime, he makes great adjustments, starts, clogging the lane a little bit more. Defenders slapping at the ball a little bit more as guys come through the lane. And I believe the Knicks had 62 points in the paint, which is a lot for the NBA these days, but 40 of those came in the first half. So they essentially cut their paint scoring in half in the second. The Knicks continued to miss 3-pointers throughout the game. I think they were 7 for 24 or something like that. 7 for 34. I don't know what it was, but it was, it might have been 7 for 34. So, if you shoot still less than 33%, if you go 11 for 34, that's a whole different ball game. And so, I think that the Knicks have a good game plan, but Spoelstra made an adjustment in halftime. Tibbs didn't. And, I guess when you go into the half playing a good half of basketball and you're not making your shots, you're like, well, what do we really need to adjust for? We didn't hit our shots and we're still up 5. If they start to drop in the second half, we'll be fine. But Spoelstra shut down the lane a little bit. And, that's kind of the thing I'm worried about. Jimmy Butler held relatively in check. Obviously, he rolls his ankle with 5 minutes to go in the game. But I'm sort of worried about them having a decided coaching advantage in this series. And you would like to win game 1 at home in Madison Square Garden. So I don't feel great about it right now, but at the same time, you win game 2, we've got a Knicks Heat series, you know?
Every time they show Pat Riley sitting in the Garden with the Heat, I mean, you talk about big dick energy. Like you just see he's in his suit, he's just cool and confident. That dude's such a boss.
It's one of the great, and we've talked about this before, but it's one of the great butterfly effect moments in the history of the NBA. You have a fantastic and already at the time legendary coach leaves the Lakers, comes to New York, totally changes his style of play, goes bruisers, goes, big defense, goes feed Patrick Ewing in the post, goes to the NBA Finals, damn near beats Michael Jordan a couple times with teams that had no business. We talk about the best player on the floor. Like obviously Jordan was the best player on the floor by far. And even if you went, Jordan, Ewing, Pippen, which a lot of people would probably argue isn't right. You go Jordan, Pippen, Ewing. But even if you went Jordan, Ewing, Pippen, it falls off pretty quickly after that. I mean, the Knicks had a lot of like broken pieces. They were the island of misfit toys in those series. So Pat Riley, all the things he was able to accomplish, it was sort of like the Mike D'Antoni coaching, but with defense. It's like they never got over the hump against Chicago, but the fact that they were even in some of those series is a testament to how great of a coach he was. And all he wanted was to be the president of basketball operations. Imagine right now, when you look around sports, how many of these coaches, the great coaches, the Popovich, the Belichicks, the whoever, the Phil Jacksons, that got handed the keys to the kingdom because they had proven themselves and then can make their own personnel decisions. And the Knicks going, no, you can't. And the Heat literally calling them up and going, not only can you can own part of the team. Please come here. And think about how different the NBA is if Pat Riley has done all of this in New York. It's insane.
It is insane. Like, and even before, we obviously so much focuses on the Bosh, Wade, LeBron Heat, but it's like he got Shaq there, man. They win a title. They win a title right away after Shaq leaves the Lakers.
But not only that, I mean, look at the series that we keep going back to now and highlights that made the Knicks Heat rivalry. You look at the Knicks at the time. They go out and they get Marcus Camby and Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell, and they put all those guys with Patrick Ewing. And Pat Riley shows up with like PJ Brown and Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning and like beats them with regularity. It's the exact same thing he did with the Knicks against the Bulls. You're like, how are you even in these series?
Yeah, I never understood that as a kid. That's what I'm saying. I didn't have basketball knowledge, but as a kid, I never understood. I was like, how is this Knicks team competing like in hard fought Eastern Conference Finals games against the Bulls? The Bulls have Jordan. They have Scottie Pippen. Like the Knicks have Ewing. Ewing's great. Don't get me wrong. But like,
I mean, the truth is, for all the accolades that Phil Jackson has gotten over the years, the Knicks had a better coach.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, that's the thing.
But there has to be pressure right now, like big pressure on the Knicks. You can't go down 0-2.
No, of course you can't. But like when you talk about Pat Riley being there, it's like, and I said this the other day, like, I think Pat Riley's in the gym with a fucking whistle this week. Like, he fucking cares about this series. Now, you could argue, hey, he cares about every series. He's the president of basketball. The dude might have a whiteboard this week. You know what I mean?
He's 78, by the way.
It's like Spoelstra has become a great coach, but I think he's become a great coach under the tutelage of Pat Riley. Like,
sure.
I am not sure Pat Riley isn't coaching along with him this week. And yeah, what's crazy is I'm certainly not the world's biggest Julius Randle fan, but what happened in the second half was the lane gets clogged. The lack of Julius Randle ball stopping and the spread out of the floor. No one's hitting their shots, and you're not getting the basket. Suddenly, now you need Julius Randle hitting a couple of those threes. When the guy who makes the most threes on your team is Obi Toppin going 4 for 11, you're in trouble. Now, obviously, I don't think the Knicks, shoot whatever that is, 23% from three again. But at the same time, you kind of have to be prepared. Like, what if we do? What if we do? What's our other plan? So it's crazy. Like, I'm sort of on the fence where, like, do we want Randall back? Do we not? Every basketball analyst and every Knicks fan would say you do. But at the same time, and I think they do based on the way that second half went. But at the same time, it's like, if you can play the game you played in the first half and get everybody involved and let RJ Barrett do his thing. I mean, I even said in my little halftime happy hour that, like, in the first half, you're having RJ Barrett throw Mitchell Robinson a couple lobs. Mitchell Robinson's got 4 first half points. Yeah. You know what? Do you know how much value 2 lobs in the first half in Madison Square Garden in a play? They may as well have been 11-point baskets for what they do to the crowd, how they affect the game. So, yeah, it's tough. Obviously, you hope you can get a shot maker back from injury, but if not, they've just got to lean into what they were doing right in the first half.
The Sixers-Celtics series, I don't feel like anybody's really giving the Sixers much of a chance.
Yeah, and I think that's stupid because the Celtics got pushed to the limit by the Atlanta Hawks. Now,
6 games.
Yeah, but you're a shot here and a shot there away from, like, that should have been a 4-game sweep. It should have been. So Boston's clearly, they're not just motoring through the playoffs. The idea that, oh man, because that's what Philly did do. I think no one's giving them a chance because if you don't have Embiid, what are we talking about? But at the same time, it's like, if I was a gambling man, which I am, I'd bet Philly on the spread today.
What is it?
I haven't looked at it, but
probably like 4.5, 5.5.
That game's got to start soon too, right? Is that
oh
4
wow,
minutes?
I'm way off. I'm thinking with Embiid, it's 10.5.
Wow, yeah, that's absolutely what my bet would be right now.
Yeah,
I'm not like James Harden. Like, I love, like, no one talks about James Harden like he's not, like, still a star in the NBA.
I just think when you bounce around on so many teams, you just, like, people forget. I feel the same way about that Suns.
I mean, Kevin Durant's on his 4th team.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it happens. I think it's happened to I don't think maybe people are giving the Suns that much of a chance. Same way.
Well, I think that's also going to be a good series, but I just Denver just playing so well as a team. In the first game, you get Murray going off, and that's what Jokic does so well, which is he's always going to be the centerpiece, but he feeds guys around him, and they have a lot of guys on that team with the ability of getting hot. They have a lot of guys who have 30-point games in them. And the Suns team is really your 2 best guys have to get going. Chris Paul's, obviously not what he once was. He still has great moments in him. He's still a great, certainly, floor general, but, like, if it's not Booker and KD going off, literally forget it.
I was watching Chris Paul the other day. Dude, he's got such a funny build, doesn't he?
What do you mean?
just like he's not skinny, but he's not fat.
I think he's got a funny build for the NBA.
That's what I'm saying.
If you saw him in real life, you'd be like, oh, it's a 6 foot black dude. You'd be like, yeah, there's that guy.
Like Kyle Lowry's like a pudgier version of him.
Yeah.
But it's that same wheelhouse. It's kind of funny. And then have you seen the commercial where Chris Paul is like the power walker?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that kind of fits your build.
I love his build. His build is like, I mean, if you saw him in a boxing match, you'd be like, oh, that dude's going to fuck somebody up.
Would I?
Yeah. He's still 6 feet tall.
No, I'm not. It's not about his height. It's just about like, I feel like NBA guys are either jacked or like they're skinny and slender. He just, you don't like, dude, when he does that commercial where he's power walking, which actually makes me laugh. I'm like, that's like dude, you could do this. Like if you were not playing the NBA, it's just crazy because he's such a great NBA player, obviously Hall of Famer. You'd be great like power walker. I can't see Chris Paul running a marathon, but I can see him power walking. Does that make sense?
Sure.
He's got like a dad bod, like kind of vibe going.
Okay.
Look, this is what I'm thinking about when I'm watching these games. I was like really looking at his build the other night. I was like, nobody's talking about his build. Kind of a weird build for an NBA guy.
Yeah, for an NBA guy.
That's all I'm saying. Weird build for an NBA guy, but we do have a call not related to any of these teams.
Okay.
It's an NBA call.
Not related to any of these teams.
But it's a call. It's a call about like, hey, look how good all the former Minnesota Timberwolves players are. And what if we brought all them back together? And I never really thought about it till I heard the call. So I'm going to put it up there. Where we got?
Andy, Joe, your number one farmer dirtball from Minnesota, Jay. Did you guys watch the Jeff Teague interview on what went down when Jimmy Butler absolutely scorched the Timberwolves starters with the G League guys? My question for you is, how do you watch that exchange and think, yeah, we should keep Towns and Wiggins around, not Jimmy? I would have traded every single other player and done anything it takes to keep Jimmy happy when you do that. I mean, it just shows how soft those guys are, and they don't show up for the playoffs and yada, yada, yada. Watching the Heat Knicks right now, I think Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, all these players that the Timberwolves have traded away and gotten rid of, I think if you put them all on a team, just the guys that are in the playoffs this year, that they would beat the current Timberwolves roster. Jimmy, K-Love, D'Angelo Russell, et cetera, et cetera. Walker Kessler, we'll throw him in there. I guess he is in the playoffs, but you get what I'm saying. Stay dirty, guys. Timberwolves. Condoms are just for the Timberwolves.
Now, D'Angelo Russell wasn't a draftee of the Timberwolves.
Well, neither was Jimmy Butler.
Right.
He's saying guys who played for him.
Just guys who went through there at some point.
That's what he's saying.
Where did Jimmy Butler or the Bulls? Was that his first stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you can claim guys that came through your way as like a thing, like
pit stop.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not wrong. But I think you'd also be surprised how many teams you could do that for.
Don't forget, Butler played for the Sixers as well.
Yeah,
that was a total pit stop.
Well, I mean, that's actually probably the bigger question mark. Probably the biggest, one of the great what ifs is essentially Jimmy Butler couldn't coexist with Ben Simmons, and they were still on the Ben Simmons train. And this kind of speaks to the T-Wolf situation as well, which is you draft these guys, you draft the guys with upside, you draft the big names, you draft the elite prospects, whatever, and then you have to remember that this is the scouting thing is like, oh, these are our guys. This is, so scouts and GMs, they make their name nailing draft picks. Now, So when you have a Ben Simmons, you're like, we went 1 overall, Ben Simmons. If we got to decide between two guys, Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons, obviously goes Ben Simmons. And now, how many years later, they finally give up on him after all the drama? I mean, imagine this Sixers team if it's, Harden, Maxey, Jimmy Butler, Embiid. Like, that's a whole different team.
Dude, is he still in the NBA? What is Ben Simmons doing?
Ben Simmons, I believe, is still a Brooklyn Net, right? Didn't he run?
His last game was February 15th.
Yeah.
But like what? Like, I'm just saying, like, Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. One of the least hardest working players in the league.
I'm just saying, like, dude, what happened to Ben Simmons? Like, he couldn't shoot ever, but like, he was a decent player. Like, he's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Which he's gonna. I mean,
what's funny is they also only have James Harden because Ben Simmons.
but like as far as like your legacy, he's making it so much worse year after year. Is all I'm saying. Like, usually a guy establishes himself for about 4 years. Ben Simmons did that. He played his rookie year because of the foot injury. My point is, like, he's doing something that's pretty rare. You're making your legacy so bad after you started decent for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like, you don't see that normally in a professional athlete's legacy.
I mean, what do we like? It's sort of offensive to Kellen Winslow Jr. to even be discussing the legacy of Ben Simmons. If you're
legacy, yo.
If you're famous for
It's about
dating,
legacy, yo.
Well, okay.
If you're famous for dating a Kardashian and being an NBA player who can't make baskets, I don't know if that's even fair to the term legacy.
Do you think they meet to decide who they're going to date? I'm being serious. I'm not making a joke here. Like, do you think the Kardashians sit down with their mother?
No, yeah, I think the mom just goes, "What about this guy? What about this guy?"
Like, that Chris Humphries marriage was 100% fake, right?
Well, I mean, what marriage was real?
Good question.
You think she was just like, man, who's the sweetest guy? Kanye West.
But like, at the time,
I just want to spend the rest of my days with Kanye West.
I know, but like, at the time,
she's giving her vows, and he's like, "I'm gonna let you finish." Beyonce had the best vows in the league.
I'm just saying, she starts dating Chris Humphries in 2010. Like, she was a thing at that point. My question, I actually had this discussion with my girlfriend the other day. Do you think they couldn't get anybody bigger
than Chris Humphries?
That was my case. Like, I wasn't saying that because but I recall her being pretty big. The Kardashians has already hit show in 2010. I'm shocked they couldn't get anybody bigger from the NBA to sign on with this.
That was before. I think that was back in the day when you would. That's like long enough ago where the NBA hadn't gone that route yet, where they're not all like also being influencers and they're whatever. So like, yo, you're a basketball player, stay away from reality stars.
I just think it's nuts to think
for how Chris Humphrey was like a bad looking guy. She's also probably like, I want a good looking dude.
No, he is a good looking guy. My point is, dude, you're talking about Kim Kardashian.
That was also like her like, it's her first marriage. She was like, it
was her second marriage, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. How many times has she been married? I guess. Did she marry somebody else besides Kanye?
She was married like real young. I knew that. Some guy, Damon Thomas, in 2000.
Cool.
He gets lost in the mix. Oh, Damon Thomas.
Damon Thomas was one of the guys in the Jimmy Butler trade from Minnesota.
He's the son of a session drummer, Harvey Mason Jr., who was a songwriter and production partner for Kenny Babyface Edmonds in the 90s.
Harvey Mason Jr. also was in a couple dunk contests, right? Oklahoma State guy.
Yeah, sure.
That was Desmond Mason Jr.
I know. I was just saying. Sure. Well, regardless, I just think it's nuts to think that like that was what was on the list for her at the time. Chris Humphries. Although probably not a lot of NBA players are like, I don't want to deal with this.
Right. At the time. And then also, you know, much like a GM, they try to like get somebody on the up and up. And then after that, they're like, all right, listen, we stick to exclusively guys who are already all-stars.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And or on teams with LeBron. Like Tristan Thompson. Although he was an all-star a year or two. Was he? Was he a one-time all-star?
Because of LeBron.
Yeah.
I know. It's nuts. So we have some major updates. Upsets. That's what I want to say. Not updates. In this hockey world, we're gonna have to get Ryan back on Thursday.
Yeah.
Got rave reviews.
We got to get the Saskatoon kid back on the phone.
Oh yeah. Also sounds like a place in Star Wars. Saskatoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's definitely a planet where there's some epic battles.
Yeah.
So the Bruins, who have the best record,
We last tracked him to Saskatoon.
there's a lot of Star Wars in this. Joel Embiid sounds like a Star Wars name.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin, clearly named after Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, that's why he wears one. You know that.
For real?
Yeah, that's why he wears one. Obi-Wan.
Didn't know that.
Yep. Chris Paul is built like a Jawa. Sort of power walks through the desert.
Yeah, there we go. Saskatoon, Star Wars. Anyway, the Bruins' best record of all time. Of all time in the regular season. They go down in 7 games.
Love to see it.
The Kraken win their first ever franchise playoff series.
That's why we got to get the Saskatoon kid back on.
I just see what happens.
Like, what is it about hockey? How does this happen in hockey?
That's what I'm saying.
But
Hockey,
also, like, that is the thing about hockey. I've watched a lot of hockey in my life over the years, you know, but I've never played hockey. So I don't really know, like, even when I watch hockey and I watch like a great game, I'm like, it's a lot of deflections. It's a lot of weird shit. It's a lot of like literally every goal in hockey to me, like I shouldn't say every goal, but like 85% of goals seem like dumb luck.
yeah.
Every once in a while, you get a guy on a breakaway and he puts a good move on the goalie. Otherwise, it's like, oh, there's a guy and the puck finds him and he's wide open and he puts it past. And you're like, what makes a good hockey team? And therefore, like, how in the world is a team that's so good that they have the best record ever can then get beat in the first round by a team that's obviously good enough, but like you would think that there would be, I guess that's the thing. It's like, it feels like in hockey, no matter how good you are, there's really not that big a gap between you and an 8 seed team.
It's like, it'd be like the Warriors, the 73 Warriors team losing in the first round.
Yeah.
People would be going nuts.
But that would literally never happen.
That's what I'm saying. It would never happen. But everybody is kind of like, oh, yeah, the best record ever lost. Like, the reaction to me indicates, yeah.
But that's the thing. That's why, and that's why I want Ryan to come on, because the difference between the 73 win Warriors team and this is like all of Steph's 3-pointers aren't like shot and then some guy elbows them right by the rim, deflects them 4 inches into the basket. Or it's not like, oh, Steph's shooting and then some guy falls down and now Steph's open for 3.
That's funny. No, it's true. I just want to address a comment in the YouTube comment section. Join a little late. Has Andy mentioned anything about being stoned? His eyes look like Bob Costas did. I was thinking that when we started the show, I look extremely stoned. No, that is just lack of sleep with a child. I wish I was stoned. Definitely not. I feel like I definitely look stoned.
You brought it up before about the Kraken as well, but now we have a Vegas team. Did they play in? They didn't play in. Did they play in the NHL? Did they play in the Cup final? Their first year.
First year.
Like this goes along with the upset, the Bruins upset, the Tampa Bay upset a couple years ago.
I think the Kraken in their third or fourth year.
The Kraken? The Kraken are in their second year.
Are they really in their second year?
Or possibly their first. It's gonna be their first year.
It's not their first. Founded in 2021.
So this is their second year.
Second year.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they beat the Stanley Cup champs their second year. You know another sport where there was kind of this parity? Is in it, like, remember how quickly the Jags were doing stuff in the NFL?
Yeah. Because it's similar in that, like, even your best player in the NFL, he can't be on the field the whole time. In hockey, you're not on the ice the whole time. So it's like, there's only there's only so much one guy can do. But I like my question, and I think it's going to be different. I think I have a feeling Ryan's going to be like, oh, and in the playoffs, it's goaltending. But like, I want to know what makes, like, give me the top, Ryan, if you're listening to this, prepare for next episode. Give me the top 3 qualities of a good hockey team. I have no clue.
Yeah. Or Ryan, I'm sure you are listening. Come prepared to explain how the best record ever can just go down the first round. Again, you would just not see this ever in the NBA. You just wouldn't see it. No way. It's just it's a crazy sport where it's almost like, I mean, dare I say, does the regular season mean anything?
Well, certainly not in terms of like seeding and whatever. Oh, don't trigger hockey fans, Andy. That's a real college sports triggering thing. If we play more playoff games, the regular season doesn't matter. Your regular seasons already don't fucking matter.
Yeah.
There's literally one game in all of college football that matters, and it's the SEC championship game.
I know. Did you watch any of the draft?
I watched a little bit.
God, I'm so bored by it. Dude, I watched like 20 minutes.
I mean, what's to watch,
That's what I'm saying. The older I get, it's like, what are we doing?
Unless you're watching to learn in the 3 minutes that they have after a guy gets picked about who, like, we are in the same boat in that we don't know or care about college football. So it's not like, oh man, they went there. The only thing the draft meant to me was, who did the Giants draft? Now let me watch that guy's clips. Let me look at his highlights. Who did the Eagles draft? Who did the Cowboys draft? Who the whatever? Who took a quarterback? That's pretty much it. Like, I'll get to know all these guys when they get in the league, if they're good.
Okay, so that's my issue, I just want to say, with people. And before I say this, I myself am a sports dork. I would call myself a stat sports dork at this point in my sports fandom. I have no problem with breaking down numbers and analytics. Like, I'm all for that. But, like, to me, the level of dorkdom, I just can't go near when it comes to the draft. The months and hours of projections by super fans and analysts. And I'm just like, why do we care until we actually see them on the field? And actually, I found myself so I had a fair amount of DMs, right, about the draft and about other things involving the NFL. I found myself defending the Lions because the Lions are getting killed for how they drafted. I'm sure you've seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
And all I said was this: maybe they did botch it, but I go, guys, none of us know. None of us know. Like, why are we just basically trying to project, hey, the Lions fucked this up until we see it play out on the field? Maybe that running back's great. Maybe he's great. I don't know.
I mean, I think the issue when you draft a running back that high is, did you fuck it up by not trading back and drafting him somewhere else?
Yeah, and I get that.
Get the guy that you wanted still, but that's always like theoretically you could do that, or some other team that overvalues him would have taken him next. You have no fucking clue.
100%.
Listen, there was a time when I had nothing. Like, you know, you're in high school, you're in college, you had nothing to do but get drunk and watch sports. It's like literally your day to day. Study here and there, maybe. It's like I had time to sit around all Saturday and watch college football, sit around all Sunday and watch the NFL, and be like, oh, you know, this guy would be a good fit here and this guy would be good there. I just don't, like, we've talked about it before. I don't have time to watch college football anymore. So to me, I'm just going to trust that the guys the Giants took from Tennessee is going to be a good receiver. Now, I'll be able to tell quickly when I watch this guy play preseason games, or when I watch this guy run routes in an NFL game, if he's good. But otherwise, all right, if you say so. I'm just glad the Giants did not draft a wide receiver in the first round because, as I said privately to a lot of people, and it wasn't not met with, to some of the people I sent this message to that are, you know, literally involved, it was not received well. But I said, I'm just glad we didn't draft another wide receiver in the first round and then immediately trade him when he acts like every wide receiver ever drafted in the first round.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney. You take, like, wide receivers are a specific breed. You take them in the first round, that's only given them, you know, runway to be more of a diva, and then be like, we don't like his attitude.
This is how crazy wide receivers are. Yeah, this is how crazy wide receivers are. Antonio Brown tweeted that he had signed with the Ravens just because he's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
he didn't say he's interested.
Nah.
He said he did sign.
He straight up said he signed with the Ravens. Like Antonio, if you had we always talk about the spectrum. Oh, they're on the spectrum. The spectrum's a wide scale. If you had a spectrum of NFL diva, Antonio Brown is like full-blown autism. Like, is that what we'd say it is?
Honestly, I feel like that's offensive to autistic people.
I think you're right.
Let's not attack the autistic community by comparing them to a guy who gets naked on the field due to just literal brain damage.
My DMs were on fire this weekend, though. Bro, Lamar Jackson stands were coming for me, man.
But we covered this last episode.
Well, here's what I find interesting. And by the way, for the record, they were all cordial exchanges. A lot of people were angry about things I had said and maybe tweeted about not having an agent, and you were wrong and he got his bag and blah, 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 which is fine.
But this is the same thing we said last episode. When you say that, did they think you were saying he was going to be out of the NFL for not having an agent? Did they think that this meant, like, you were like, oh, if he doesn't have an agent, you're never playing another snap in the league?
I think I'm sure I said I didn't think he'd get.
But like the thing about him not having an agent,
I was just saying, I think he limits himself. So I think he limits himself. So guys, let me put an analogy for a common person, right? Because I was thinking about this. Because everyone's like, well, you were wrong, Ruther. He got paid. And you're right. I was wrong. So he got paid on his own. For the record, I still think everybody, and everybody was like, oh, and they, everyone points to these outliers who don't have agents. I'm like, cool. I still think everybody should have an agent. One, because also
let me interrupt you really. Let me interrupt you really quickly with a brief. Let me just give you a brief rundown of quarterback money, expectations, the way they turned out, etc. I tweeted last year, if Daniel Jones gets $40 million a year, I'm going to kill myself. Offseason comes. Daniel Jones says, I want $40 million a year. The whole fucking world was like, get fucked. Daniel Jones changed agents to a presumably an agent said, I'll get you $40 million a year. And then Daniel Jones, much to my dismay, got $40 million a year. Some agent was like, you're not getting it. And he was like, you're fired. And some other guy was like, I'll get you $40 million. And he goes, okay, you're hired. Daniel Jones wanted $40 million a year. Daniel Jones got an agent, got himself $40 million a year, and I got a gun. Lamar Jackson wanted $200 million guaranteed, then hired his mom, and then didn't get it. Maybe you should have had an agent.
Well, what I was going to say, to put it in a term that everybody can understand and relate to, it's no different than getting a real estate agent. So I was thinking about that, right? Like, I just bought a house. So the argument, guys, would be you can save money on the percent, right? The real estate agent, when, especially, it's like 3%. The argument is, hey, I can do this on my own. And then I started thinking about what we went through. And I'm like, dude, I don't have these connections. I don't get tipped off, hey, especially how hot the market was. It's cooled off, but like how hot it was 7-8 months ago, right? Tipped off, oh, there's an open house, or this house is going on the market, this condo is going on the market. Like, that's why people pay that 3% to a real estate agent, because they know they're in the business. Now, it sucks to give away that 3% when you're involved in these sales, right? But it's kind of part of the game. It's the same way for Lamar Jackson. And I still do have people arguing with me, which I find interesting, saying,
you know what the NFL, what an NFL agent gets?
What is it?
Maximum 3%.
Everyone's coming at me about 10%, and I knew that was wrong. 10%.
NFL agents are not permitted to receive more than 3%, and then NBA agents not more than 4% of their clients' playing contracts. Now they can take 10 to 20% of athletes' endorsement contracts.
Okay.
3%. 3%.
Glad you said that.
He got 185 million.
Correct.
Literally. Imagine if he had gotten 200 million and paid an agent 3%. It's 194 million. It's $9 more million. If he had paid an agent who got him what he said he wanted, even if everybody thought it was insane, like Daniel Jones.
But again, like, I even have DirtBalls coming at me, and I don't know, I'm done repeating this. This is the last time, saying he was.
Please make it the last time, because, people fucking come at me like, Bruno doesn't let it go. How long you guys want to talk about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Just show me a team that offered him a deal. That's all I want. That's all I ended up.
So
everyone's coming at me saying, show me a team that offered him a deal.
So here's the deal. I said, I made an incorrect statement. So last episode, I said, people couldn't. So they made him a non-exclusive. I forgot that they made him a non-exclusive tag. When they tagged him, they also said other teams can.
Correct.
And we can match it. If other teams made an offer, then there would have been an offer. There wasn't. He got one offer from one team. Well, actually, he got multiple offers from one team. But he had one team make him any offers.
Correct. Well, I'm here to make the DirtBalls an offer.
29 teams didn't want Lamar Jackson. One team wanted him and ended up paying him less than what he wanted.
31 teams didn't want him.
31 teams. Sorry.
Well, I want to make the DirtBalls an offer they can't refuse, Joe. I want to make them a Great offer with our friends at Butcher Box.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I love me some Butcher Box.
Little high quality meats. Springtime is here. Summer's right around the corner. No better time than to cook up some of those delicious meals from your favorite cut at Butcher Box. I love it because not only meat, I think it's seafood delivered. Right to your front door.
Butcher Box, also fishmonger box. It's not just the butcher. They also got a fishmonger working over there.
So if you're a Ravens fan and you're like, hey man, I want to get some fresh salmon. You get it delivered right to your house. You can cook that with your crab cakes. Mix it up with any of that. What's the big food in Baltimore?
Crab cakes and overpaying injured quarterbacks. That's what Maryland's about.
Exactly. So hop on over to Butcher Box because they currently have a great deal.
Tell me about it, Andy.
You can get free chicken thighs for a year and $20 off your first box when you sign up today, Joe. That's 3 pounds of bone-in chicken thighs free in every box for a year, plus $20 off your first order when you sign up at butcherbox.com/dirty and use code DIRTY. Lots of dirty going on here. So claim this deal at butcherbox.com/dirty and use the code DIRTY. I might have to thaw out some of the Butcher Box this week. We got some nice steaks that we like to cook. I like to dice it up a little, put it in some of my pasta. A lot of people don't do that. I like to do a little steak and some pasta. You ever do that?
It's not my go-to move, but
it's a good mix-up.
I'm certainly not against it. It's two things I love, with all of my heart: steak and pasta.
Well, let me get to a couple calls.
Sure.
We'll keep this a little tight today.
Ooh, I like that.
Give us a ring, guys. 310-359-8365. First one is from the artist formerly known as Fat Jason Kidd. We call him Cat Jason Kidd, leaving a call as Fat Jason Kidd.
Not as Cat Jason Kidd?
He's leaving it as Fat Jason Kidd.
Okay.
Hi, Joe and Andy. It's Fat Jason Kidd. Gonna keep it quick here. I was just thinking through the NFC really quick, and I realized Jared Goff may be the third or fourth best quarterback in that division. And I'm kind of going Jalen Hurts, Dak. And then I disqualified Matt Stafford and Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray, we don't know if he'll play this year. And Matt Stafford, it's kind of a big question mark because he wasn't playing that well before he came back, but he also won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins. Realistically, you're kind of falling right in there, at least as they are now. And the NFC is going to stink. All right, stay dirty.
Okay, so I want to preface this because I think he really wanted to clarify. He ended up DMing me saying, I want to clarify that I don't think Goff is good. I'm just calling the NFC trash, which I understood. So I started thinking about his call. It is crazy. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Obviously, he had a down year last year, but he was back-to-back MVP before that. Dude, who are your top quarterbacks?
Well, first of all, and everybody knows how I feel about Kirk Cousins, right? Everybody knows how I feel about Jared Goff. That being said, how did Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott's 2? Just like, I think it's Jalen Hurts and then Dak. Why do you think that? We have a lot of tape on Dak at this point.
We do a lot of tape on Dak.
Dak's better than Brock Purdy.
What? But that's
Dak's
what I want.
Better than Daniel Jones. Dak's better than Kirk Cousins. Dak's better than Goff. Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones.
Hold on. Top 3 QB now.
Listen, but this is all I'm gonna say. Daniel Jones, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Dak. Those are your playoff quarterbacks last year, right? Is Dak the best quarterback on his own team? I separate the fact from, the NFC quarterback situation is pretty trash. But how did Dak all of a sudden get? Why is Dak supposedly getting automatic stamp of approval respect?
Well, I don't know, but let's go division by division because we'll just do that. I'm just do this because there's only obviously 4 divisions. Let's say, who do you think's the best quarterback in the NFC East?
I mean, it's hard not. Jalen Hurts got MVP conversation.
Exactly. Right.
Let's not trigger anybody and have a conversation about that right now.
Okay. Well, that's my point. It's Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
NFC North, who's the best QB? You got Justin Fields, Jared Goff. Love is a question mark, and Kirk Cousins.
Probably Kirk Cousins.
Okay. NFC South. Derek Carr.
The kid who just got drafted 1 overall by probably Derek Carr or Bryce Young.
Okay. NFC West. Murray's coming off an injury. Stafford's coming off an injury. Wasn't playing well before that. Purdy, is, I think, we're not sure yet. And then Geno Smith. The NFC quarterback situation is not good. It's not good. What about this? Daniel Jones 1 of 1. Are you starting it?
No, I don't need to. No, but that's precisely my point. Is I'm not starting Daniel Jones 1 of 1. But also,
who's the best quarterback in the AFC West? Who's the best quarterback in the AFC West?
In the AFC West?
Yeah, I'm sorry, NFC West.
I don't know. I mean, Matthew Stafford, but he's supposed to play this year, right? He's coming back.
It is nuts. I don't know. It's just nuts. It's just how unlevel the quarterback situation is between the two conferences. I don't know. It's I'll be curious what San Francisco does. What does San Francisco do?
What do you mean?
Trey Lance.
They have a quarterback competition.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. I mean, if they fall in love with one of those guys, that guy starts. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're seeing what I believe that Shanahan believes he can win with either of those guys and have Sam Darnold as a backup. So is there a market out there for Trey Lance? Does he believe that much in Brock Purdy?
Do the Lions make the playoffs? That's going to be the big question for me heading into this season.
It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting. They're going to be right there, I think.
That's going to be an interesting division because I feel like everybody's counting out the Packers suddenly, and I'm like, I don't know if you should, because obviously you have a money situation that's changed for them. Do the Vikings the Vikings had that season and then got 1 of 1 in the playoffs. So, do they slip fall? A lot of people think the Bears are on the come up. A lot of people think, a lot of people think Detroit's could be a top team in the NFC. And I'm just like, it's still the Lions, guys.
Well, again, it is look at the quarterback, man. That's all that matters for me. How far is Jared Goff going to take you? I mean, he can make the playoffs, don't get me wrong.
But he didn't.
He didn't in year 2, no.
No, it's not year 2. It's year 2 with the Lions.
Well, that's my point.
He made it in year 1 or year 2 or year whatever it was with the Rams. Year 3 with the Rams?
Year 2.
Year 2.
Yeah. Year 1 with Sean McVay.
Yeah.
All right. Our next call is the product of someone who likes to do little drugs, which is cool. You do you, bro. I don't even know how you're going to answer this. This is a call. We've never gotten a call like this before.
Wow. This is a little wild preface.
Yeah.
Hey, Dirty Sports. It's your boy, Nick. I ain't going to give you my government name. Anyways, I'm on one right now. And I'm just, listen, enough of this Matrix talk. Enough of this basketball, tell me your favorite memories of all time in life. Like when you're on your deathbed, Joey No Show, Andy, Ruther, the man, the myth, the legend. Tell me when you're on your deathbed, what is going to be your favorite memory in life? All right, I'm on one, and you guys are dope. Anyways, quick question. We're getting deep here. We're getting deep into dirty sports. Deep like a motherfucker. Like, you're deep in, like, some anal puss. Hey, whatever. It is what it is. Hey, anyway.
Well, I don't know what anal puss is, so. How do I answer that?
That's what I'm saying.
What's your greatest memory in life?
I mean, what do you do with that? Your greatest memory in life? I mean, obviously, like for me, the day my daughter was born, like.
Oh, such a dad answer.
But hold on,
what a dad answer.
I know. But some definitely some memories with my parents. But like I don't even know like what does that mean? Like greatest memories. That is a dad answer.
Oh, nothing's better than the day your kids are born.
But there's something there when you see
Sure.
see your own. That's a real thing. When you see your own DNA, you're like, holy shit. That's me. I just like hold her and be like, I made you. You know that? Like you're me. Half of me. Like that's pretty intense. But like best memory. Dude, I don't even know if people do that. Like, are they on their deathbed like, yo?
Well, they say your life flashes before your eyes, meaning I think if you ever had like a near-death experience, I think I understand what I mean. It's like it's almost like a fucking, not that I've had a near-death experience, but you're like, oh, like I was like in a head-on car crash recently. It's like you almost get like a flip book of like a million.
I did have a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Too bad I was so blacked out I don't remember it.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think to take his question somewhat seriously, it's probably like the moments are like you have those family moments, like, when you're younger and it's like, summer at the Prano house, little barbecue outside, or somebody's birthday on the porch, and it's just the family. It's this dad cooks some steaks, it's whatever, everybody's happy and chill. Then you have your friend moments. Like I have moments where it's like I was with all of my best friends in a situation. We're all in a ski house, or we're all at the beach or whatever, and you got like, oh, your ride or die homies. And like I also go back often to the trip I made to like Costa Rica, where I was not hanging out with like essentially anybody. It was just like me, Pizza Star's dogs, getting up at 5 a.m, going out to have a surf by yourself, having your nature moment. I've got eating some mushrooms in Amsterdam with friends of the show, Pizza Star and Guy Fiorita. You're like, oh man, we're in Amsterdam on drugs. Like this is pretty crazy. Like I'll remember this my whole life.
Well, I posed this to my friends, a couple of my college buddies a couple summers ago. We were all hanging out, right, getting together. At the time, I didn't have a kid then, but they all had families and wives. And this kind of goes along those lines. I said to them, okay, guys, I'm going to pose a hypothetical for you guys. Yeah, I know you guys are all happy, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's the standard. Oh, my wife, my kids. I was like, but if you could go back tomorrow for a year to our days in college, but you could, after that year, you could come back to your wife, come back to your little boy, little girl, whatever it is. Would you do it? It was pretty unanimous. Yes. Like if you could do 1 year again of college, which I found fascinating. And then I asked them why. And everybody had the same answer. They're like, dude.
If I knew what I knew now.
Well, no, it was like, why? And they were like, because there was no responsibility.
Yeah.
It was like, because you could just wake up. You could, like you were saying earlier, drink, watch sports, kind of study. You have to worry about the wife or the kid or the dog. You just did whatever you wanted. You could eat what you want. You put on some weight, but like it wasn't that bad for your health. You know, you're just a young idiot kid. And then it all changes, right? And you become an adult. You got to pay bills. You got to work. Basically, what I'm saying to our college kids is never leave college ever. Do Van Wilder times 10.
Yeah, or just like leave and like keep doing that. Like that, I think that's something, you know, if we're getting serious on advice, it's like think about how long of the last decade you and I spent just like, what do we really have to do today? Gotta upload that podcast, and we can go out to Venice Beach and like kick around and go eat and go fucking make sure Vince doesn't eat pizza off the street, and you know, like.
Yeah.
It's not like we're working in an accounting offices, like losing our hair.
No.
It's like find a way to like keep having those moments. Like you know, like we joke about it, but like, dude, I travel the country and it's like, I joke all the time about like a Miller Lite in a baseball game. It's like come baseball season. I'm just like, hey, where are the Mets playing? Can I go there? Drink some Miller Lights, maybe pay for it with a comedy show.
Well, I think
Pretty
that's
good.
The key is finding things. That's what I would say. Finding things that aren't like that hard to do, like a beer in a baseball game, and do them if you enjoy. Finding the small things you enjoy, and you're like, hey, I really enjoy this, and it's not the most expensive hobby to have, and it gives me happiness, and just do that. I want to know what drugs you were on when you left that call, though.
Yeah. He's like, I'm on one. I'm not going to give my government name. And then he's talking about ass pussies. Bro.
Tell you, this 5 milligrams will get you every time. Huh? That's what it was.
Also, that moment that we went to Little Caesars for the first time and I was introduced to the $5 hot and ready. Pretty game changing. I haven't had one since, but
that was a pretty fun moment to be a part of, me introducing you to Little Caesars.
I was just like, why this? It's one of those moments where you're like, why isn't this all pizza places? Why aren't all pizza places? Why doesn't every pizza place have a couple medium pizzas that are hot and ready when you walk in?
Well, you're right. You're like, it's not
for $5,
but they're actually large. It's like, you're like, it's not
whatever, large.
It's not the best pizza, but it's also
well,
not
but
the worst.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Even if like, okay, if Little Caesars can make a trash ass pizza and make it large, like maybe a good pizza place can just always have like a medium that's like came out of the oven within the last 30 minutes. And it's like, this is a deal. If you're willing to take the thing that's already in a box on top of the oven, it's $5. Be like, I'm all in. I'm all in on that deal.
Have you seen
I might just open Hot and Ready's and get absolutely sued to the gills by Little Caesars.
Have you seen the new Domino's commercials about Apple CarPlay?
No.
They're so funny to me. And they annoy me, and they shouldn't. But I always like see, and I start talking out loud, annoying my girlfriend. Because I don't get it. This is their pitch. The commercial is you pull up to a drive-thru and they're like, hey, you don't have time to wait in a drive-thru, as if like every drive-thru is 10 cars deep.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can order now. We're on Apple CarPlay. Which I don't get. And they show the guy like pushing his car screen. Like, look, you can just push a screen to order us now. And I'm thinking like, but everybody has phones. Like I don't care. That's the whole point of the commercial. We're on CarPlay.
I guess maybe the app is now like CarPlay. You know, like not all your apps come up on CarPlay when you plug your phone in. So maybe now it's like it now works with CarPlay. So if you were in your car, you can just bing, 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 and the app would, yeah. Listen, I literally saw.
But again, my point is, why couldn't you just pull up your phone, or let's say you're driving, you just pull over. Hey, I'm just going to pull up the Domino's.
You don't have to pull over. You can do it on Apple CarPlay. But I must live near a Domino's now. I don't know where it is. I haven't looked. Obviously, I would never order Domino's. I'm an adult, but I always see a Domino's car in my neighborhood, and it's always in the same area. I'm like, either this guy lives here, or there's a Domino's here that I just haven't spotted. But it really gave me if there's one thing you know about me, Andy, is that like I'll see a bad take on the internet, and sometimes I'll lose my mind, and it'll I'll now literally check in on that person every day for the next 5 years just to get annoyed and write fucking whatever. But there was a moment of clarity the other day. I was like, you know what? I live in Los Angeles. Is there New York pizza here? No. But there's actually a lot of like pretty good pizza places. I got to remember that there's always going to be somebody dumb enough to order Domino's pizza in this city. Like, it gave me a moment of clarity. I was like, you know what? Next time you see some dumb shit on the internet, just remember there's horrible, terrible people everywhere. There's Domino's pizzas in New York City. The idea that there's Domino's pizzas in New York City makes me go,
you know why?
Not in New York.
But I'm saying it's cheap. It's convenient. You know who used to, and I hate to throw him under the bus like this, but I'm going to give a caveat because it would be when he had a lot of people over and he was throwing a party. You know who always ordered Domino's when he had people over, if there was any food or, stuff like that, where you want to give people some food, hang out by his pool. He always ordered Domino's. Lance Bass.
This one's but what backwards ass state's Lance Bass from?
He's from Mississippi.
Yeah.
But like he'd always, like if he was having a pool party, he'd always just say, hey man, like I'm going to order like 15 Domino's pizzas. And I saw him do it a lot. And I'd always think like, dude, you got the money to order something else. But he doesn't care. He's just like, I'm just going to order.
But also, is Domino's even cheaper? Like Domino's, I feel like you order Domino's these days, you get a $25 pie.
Now,
like if it was the McDonald's equivalent, where you're like, I'm going in there and getting out for $10. I'll stop at McDonald's every once in a while. Listen, we all know McDonald's ain't like, it's by no means gourmet. I'm like, give me a McChicken, give me a double cheeseburger, give me a small fry, give me a sweet tea.
You know what you're getting.
I'm in and out for $8. I got a full meal.
Let's not forget the Jared Goff medium pizza game was Domino's.
Right.
I used to have a little Domino's in me. In fact, it's confession time. Dude, I was that guy. This is when I lived in Venice Beach. I would sometimes order like their non-pizza, like non-wings. I'd be like, let's try a little pasta from Domino's.
Jesus Christ.
I'm so embarrassed.
I can't even imagine.
Look at a little carbonara from.
What do you think that even comes in?
I don't know.
How do you think that shows up to Domino's? I feel like it's in one of those like click lid Tupperware things that you keep things in storage in. It's just like a 70-gallon Tupperware, and some guy opens it up and he's like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's carbonara, bro. You put this whole fucking thing in the oven, and you serve from it for like 6 to 8 weeks."
Dude, they used to have good molten lava cakes too. Molten lava cakes. Dude, I used to get stoned.
I feel like you should not be giving your government name. This is way, way more fucking incriminating than anything Nick said.
Dude, I get baked. You know what I used to do sometimes? And I can tell you the time frame. Like 2013, 2014, that time frame. Dude, I get like stoned on like a Sunday. And I'd order 2 large Domino's, watch games all day, NFL. Just get stoned, order Domino's. But again, I'd order the side pieces with it. Like, I'm gonna try a little little pasta, little brownies. This
Yeah,
is
like
back.
I would say 95% of the time I've ordered Domino's in my life. It's because I was like, I want some pizza, but like actual pizza wasn't open. Tom was like, we'll deliver.
Domino's just getting right through the coals here. Give us a ring, 310-359-8365. That's our hotline. We're on social at The Dirty Sports. I'm at Andy Ruther. Let's meet up, eat some Domino's, rate, review it.
I'm at Joe Prano on all social media, Instagram, TikTok. I started a Substack, guys, and we're putting some stuff there. There's chat features. There's a Twitter like notes feature. We're gonna do halftime happy hours for Knicks games. This is what I figured out I'm gonna do. You can do YouTube lives, and you can do them unlisted. So you need the link. Like, it won't tell you when I go live, and I'm gonna put them in Substacks. So just you can get a free subscription. There's a paid version too, but you can get a free one. So just start there. Everything's gonna be free for a while, and hopefully we'll start building a little community over there. It's pretty cool. I have a friend who works there, and he was like, "Yeah." They were like, "Yeah, check it out." I was like, "Okay, I will," and I'm intrigued. So go and start an account and free subscription, and then down the line you can decide if you want to like pay for stuff if I start putting it behind paywalls, which I'm not doing yet. So free subscription.
Well, you're inspiring me. I'm gonna start a Substack. I'm gonna.
Hell yeah.
No, it's very specific.
Domino's pizza reviews.
Hell yeah. Only on Substack, baby.
You're the Dave Portnoy of Domino's only. You only do Domino's locations.
And I don't do one bite. You can eat the whole fucking thing, man. I'm gonna get that carbonara, and I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
I got some shows coming up next week. I'll be up in Ventura at Topa Topa Brewing Co. I'll be down in Mission Beach in San Diego. Mission Beach, yeah, Mission Beach and the Mission Beach Resort on May 12th. Topa Topa Brewing Co. is on May 9th. All these shows are at joeprano.com/shows. Last week in May, back at the Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas. First week of June, Stanford, New York Comedy Club, Stanford, Connecticut. Those tickets are available. I've tweeted it. I've posted it on my Instagram. It's in my calendar thing on my Instagram. Go there, get some tickets if you're in the tri-state area. Come to a show. It's going to be a fun one. Lots of friends and family will be there. We're going to do a sort of homecoming show, and more shows to come. So joeprano.com for shows, or just follow all my social media. Now let's watch some Rangers Devs.
All right, let's watch some NHL and NBA. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on Thursday. You guys have a great week. And as always, stay dirty.